Our next speaker is a candidate who ran in House District 10, which is over in Madison County. Because of his run in 2022, and then challenging the election of his opponent, who committed voter fraud, and in our estimation, election fraud, by both voting and running in a district that he did not live in, Mr. Boyd was able to cause a special election to occur. But then craziness happened, and I'm sure he'll tell you all about it. Welcome to the stage, Mr. Elijah Boyd.
All right, can you hear me all right?
Beautifully. And I mean beautifully.
Thank you. All right, first we'll start off with the 2022 campaign. We did have statewide ballot access. I was not up to the task in 2022. I had some personal stuff going on, and I was one of those paper candidates that Noah was talking about. I ended up getting something like 3% of the vote. In 2018, I had a more active campaign and got about 5%, so at least we can use those two as like aiming stakes for where we go from here. Early on in the Republican primary, Anson let the Republican County Commission know that there was questions about the residency of one of their candidates. He filed formal complaints and they dismissed the charges. They had also kicked him off of the ballot as he was running in the Republican primary after taking his candidate fee. They kicked him off. Then there was a couple newspaper articles, internet articles about questions about the candidacy, pictures, where they've caught him, walking his dog in his pajamas outside the house. That's not in the district that he lives in or that he's running for. Things like that. After the election, someone from the Democrat Party approached me about a challenge, about a legal lawsuit against him. And I don't know, I thought about it and I asked Anson, because Anson had now joined the Libertarian Party. Finally, I did sign up my name to be a plaintiff on this lawsuit. It wasn't libertarian dollars being spent. I didn't really have anything to lose, and possibly I could force a special election and get on the ballot. Some of these special elections are decided by like 300-400 votes, or maybe 300-400 votes in total that people show up for House special elections. And there would be the chance that my race wouldn't be affected by candidates up the ballot or candidates down the ballot. It would be just straight, hey, what you think about Elijah Boyd for State House? He was seated in office. The lawsuit got dragged out. He, of course, made objections through his lawyer. Twice it went to the Alabama Supreme Court for different complaints that he had raised during the lawsuit. And finally it was resolved. However, the State House never picked it up on their docket. By law, they're the only ones that get to decide who is a member of their House and who is not. So our challenge was just to get depositions and force the House to at least address the issue. Sometime after the legislative session had closed for that year, I really thought that I had basically lost through apathy or corruption, that no one really cared to do anything about it, or the people that cared about it was in on it. September, I'm not sure which exact date, the Alabama Attorney General brought up felony charges against David Cole. Never contacted me once about the lawsuit. He just brought up felony charges on David Cole as a voter, not as a candidate or a representative from that district, but because he went and voted twice in the Republican primary and then in the general election. They charged him with voter fraud. He resigned his position, served 59 days in the county jail over Thanksgiving, like getting out some 6 days before Christmas. I wouldn't have wished it on anyone. I just wanted the seat to be vacated, but it couldn't happen to a better guy. So, we get to the special election. Katie Ivey, the governor, declared the special election. She said for two major parties to certify their candidate sheets, not three. We didn't know where we stood. We thought that we would have to do ballot access again. 4 days after our deadline closed to submit our candidate sheet, they said, oh yeah, you're a major party and you've missed the deadline. It's like, thanks, that really helps. Oh, and since you're a major party, you can't run a minor party ballot petition. So we had, I think, some growing pains between the Secretary of State's office and our state party, but we are learning. All of those details, I don't know, probably would get too much for this audience. And I got some more stuff to talk about. I am still a candidate. I still have a candidate access committee. I can still take in donations. I can still make money. As far as I know, I can run a write-in candidate or write-in campaign right now. So I'm not off the table yet. I've still got 8 weeks until the election. It might be fun. And why is that? Well, let me talk about libertarian positives. 1971, 53 years ago, the Libertarian Party was formed in somebody's living room in Colorado. And in those 53 years, we struggled to get on the ballot. We don't get on the debate stage. And rarely do we achieve elected office. But y'all didn't come here to get the wind taken out of your sails. You came to a convention here this weekend to be inspired, to feel good about the things that you are putting your efforts into, things that you're putting your money into. We get into this game that we are going to convert people, that they're going to sign on to legalize sex work, retail heroin, and mail order machine guns. But I want to tell you, living in the margins is someplace where we are actually winning. And what is our goal? Is it to get elected? Is that our goal? Is it? Okay. Is our goal to get on the debate stage?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Is our goal a world set free in our lifetime?
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So in 1971, we sought to repeal the laws concerning victimless crime. We are that party. Gambling, voluntary sex relations, drug use, I think we do all know we are winning the drug war. We're winning that. The black market is winning the drug war. People like Marty are winning the drug war. It's slow. It's not here in Alabama, but look at all the other states that have it now, that did not have it in 1971. We are winning in the margins. In 1971, we sought to end the death penalty. We still got it in Alabama. We still had one last week with a new method. It was all the news, right? But since 1971, Vermont, North Dakota, District of Columbia, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Jersey, New York, New Mexico, Illinois, Connecticut, Maryland, Delaware, Washington, New Hampshire, Colorado, and Virginia have ended the death penalty in their state. Yeah? In 1971, we sought marriage equality. We are that party. We are the ones sticking up for the marginalized, the minorities. That's us. From the 70s to the 2000s, states made concessions about marriage. They said that you could have domestic partnerships, you could have civil unions. Conservatives countered with the Defense of Marriage Act in 1996, which limited federal recognition of marriages to those between a man and a woman. That legislation was introduced by Bob Barr. That Bob Barr. He introduced the Defense of Marriage Act. And in 2004, Massachusetts Supreme Court ruled that it was unconstitutional to limit marriage based on that criteria. And several states enacted ballot initiatives or referendums, legislation or otherwise, to legalize same-sex marriage in Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire in 2009. How about that?
Yeah.
Also in 2009, new proposed legislation was introduced in the U.S. House called the Respect for Marriage Act to repeal the Federal Defense of Marriage Act, but it did not pass in 2009. Then more states, New York in 2011, Washington in 2012, Maryland, Delaware 2013, Delaware 2013, Minnesota, Rhode Island, Hawaii, Communist California in 2014, just 10 years ago, right? That's not their party. This is our party. Utah in 2015, New Mexico. And then in June 2015, Oberfeld versus Hodges ruled that that recognized and legalized marriage in all 50 states and prohibited the enforcement of the remaining tenets of Defense of Marriage Act. In 2022, one of the Supreme Court justices called into question that ruling. And again, the Respect for Marriage Act was brought to the table. And it was passed that year in 2022, signed into law by President Biden in 2022, December. And who had been a supporter of that Respect for Marriage Act since its introduction in 2009? Bob Barr. Yes, that Bob Barr. We are not all perfect when we get here. We are winning at the margins. That's okay. It's really okay. And you know, like when you look around and see things to critique about fellow libertarians, you know, maybe reach across and find out why before you criticize. you know, Bob Barr's been pretty great to this party. And although he never held office as a libertarian, he still made improvements and had positive influence, okay? So if we're not holding office as libertarians, that's okay. If you're running as Republican, or if you've left us and went back to Democrats, I totally understand. Because that, being elected, getting on the debate stage is not the final goal. The goal is a world set free. Last thing I want to talk about is libertarian camaraderie, all right? Who's got bank accounts, right? You like make withdrawals, you buy stuff with your credit card, you write checks, take out money, right? You also got to put money in there, right? So when you're asking libertarians to show up, and the only thing that you're asking them to show up for is to come in into this convention, take off a day of work, come into this convention, and then like bicker about bylaws for the day, you're making a withdrawal without making any deposits. So your county affiliates, you should know the people that you call libertarians, and you should spend the time getting to know them and making deposits on the relationships that you have within the party. So you're not only making withdrawals, all right? That's how we're gonna we burn out people. We've seen the people that have left, and the people that are sticking around, they have friends here. They know each other, right? Well, the new people that come in, we need to get to know them too. Yeah. All right, I will take questions. If anyone's got any. Sam's already pushing me off. Yes, ma'am.
This is not a question, this is just sort of a comment, I guess. But Marty mentioned in her presentation that Frank Gilman was the one that got her into the Libertarian Party. And everybody in this room may already know this, but Frank Gilman's wife passed away just a few weeks ago. And so he's really working on trying to get over that. But it's a struggle when, your spouse, when you lose your spouse, it's just a huge struggle. And so if everyone would just please keep him in your thoughts and prayers, and, maybe give him a shout, I'm sure he'd appreciate that.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. Yeah, we for Marty, she had to follow John. We're all going to be following people, right? The people meeting in the living room in Colorado in 1971, we're going to follow Marty and push for lobbyization and our activism. Frank Dillman's another one that we are following. He had, I think he's passed on the torch now, but initiative and referendum was something that he was his activism, and he came here because we listened, and we're like, yeah, that's great, and a lot of people, there are people that disagree with such strong democracy, but many times that we have pushed the torch for liberty has been through such avenues as initiative and referendum. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Mr. Boyd, and I hope to see you run again. I know that you did a really good job, and we tried so hard, but I always enjoy listening to you speak as well. I've had some really good conversations, and I really appreciate you coming in and speaking for us today.
Well, thank you, Sam.